Sooner Scoop HD.
Really, I mean, even last year we had 3 guys that were going to play, and that guy, I mean, he catches 10,000 balls every single summer. It's a lot of balls to catch on a jugs machine. You know what I mean? That just kind of shows you the commitment that he has. That's how locked in he is. You can't. It's hard to joke with him right now because he's so locked in. I'm trying to get him relaxed just a little bit. Like, hey man, you got to enjoy this stuff too. But and he's got a look in his eye of determination and I've just been proud of how he's leading the football team. It's not just him. It's him leading everybody else to where, because he knows what it looks like. You know what I mean? He knows what it feels like to prepare, to be prepared and go dominate somebody in a football game. Now he's trying to get everybody else with him.
You're someone that's lived both sides of it now, obviously, with Schmitty. Just what is it that's so valuable about time with him in the summer that helps out so much?
It's like I told these guys earlier, man. He's a strength coach, but he's a mental coach. You know what I mean? He's a mental conditioning guy at heart. Like, whenever things get hard, that's when he thrives. He tries to put these guys in hard situations so that when they're in that moment, they know how to respond. And he's the best of anybody in the country. He's the best of anybody I've ever seen do it. And they're strong, they're fast, and they look good and all that good stuff. But the difference between him and everybody else that I've been around is the mental part of it. And when it gets hard, those guys, they really rise. They kind of start smiling. They start helping each other out. And it's fun to see those guys respond in that way to where, I've seen a bunch of teams when it gets hard, man, you start seeing people drop out and they don't know about that. And when you do that, in order to be able to do that, you have to put yourself in that situation over and over and over again. And that's what he does, but he does it in a great way. It's not a punishment for him. That's why everybody loves him so much, because he gets more out of you than you could ever get out of yourself.
I know you said it's the best of doing it, but was there any element of surprise just seeing how quickly that's all come together and just, one off season under him this year?
It was, man. I didn't know exactly how our guys would respond to that type of work, and you never know. Even if you think like, hey, I want that, I want to do that. Once you get into it, it's different, and so how are you going to respond? And he does a great job of preparing those guys. He didn't come in here and just throw it all on them. He worked them into it, and the details of everything that he does is really where it starts. And so start with that, and then you start putting more and more workload on them, and those guys absolutely love that.
Does Daniel Park have like a countdown calendar until he can put the pads on?
Absolutely. He wants to know down to the second when the first inside drill is. He wants 9 on 7. He doesn't care if he catches a ball, anything like that, and that's just, like I said earlier, both of those. Braden's the same way. Daniel's a little bit more open about it,
sure.
but Braden Willis, if I was fighting somebody in the back alley, I want him right there beside me,
right,
because he's got that same exact mentality, and that's what makes those 2 guys special. And they're transferring that to my 2 younger
sure.
guys and the other 2 guys in the room, all 4 of those guys, and really they're leading the entire football team in that way. And that's, like I said earlier, the best football teams that I've been on, like when I was here in 2003, when I first got here, Book, D. Straight,
yeah.
Teddy Lehman, Dusty Dvorak, those guys, they had that mentality. Jamal Brown, Davin Joseph, Mark Clayton. I mean, that mindset that's the difference between the good teams and the great teams.
Is the common theme in all of that, Schmitty? I mean, there is like a certain element of physicality that almost overnight when he came back.
It is, but you got to have some of that to start with.
Sure.
I mean, you can't turn into a dog overnight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That comes with recruiting, knowing what kind of guys you're getting in here, talking to the people around them. Is this guy the alpha?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, man, when you have your leadership, the more of those guys you can get on a football team, and they start bringing people around. Now you can develop that, but you got to have somebody that has it to start with, and those 2 guys have it. Couldn't be more proud of them.
From day one until now, there seems like there's moments where Dylan Gabriel does things that coaches don't even have to ask about. Is that one of those things that you just can't teach? He just kind of gets an idea of how he needs to lead, where he needs to be, how he gets guys behind him.
Absolutely, that's leadership. You know what I mean? You can develop that too. I'm sure he wasn't like that as a true freshman at UCF, but he understands how to get people to buy in, and everything he's done has been right. You know, and that's not anything on. I'm not talking about anything on the football field. Just the guys rally behind him. They're ready to fight for him. They feel like they got a guy that absolutely wants to be here, and they're going to fight for him. And that's when you have special.
Sooner Scoop HD.